assume you've been kind of following what's going on in the States with the conventions and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
before we talk about the film, I just thought I'd get your take on what's going on over there.
Well, there's been some very eloquent speeches, and Michelle Obama really kind of hit the nail on the head. You have a completely incompetent president. I can't even really call him a president. I don't know what he is. He's like some specter. And hopefully the nightmare will be over on November 4th.
We can only hope. So yeah, there's the light at the end of the tunnel. Well,
yeah.
I've seen the Quarry, and enjoyed it immensely, and it was very suspenseful and on the edge of your seat kind of thing. Just ominous kind of feeling. And I wonder what it was that, other than it's a job and it's a paying job, what drew you to doing the film and working on it?
Well, I thought it was a very relevant story about a kind of hypocrisy that I see running through our culture. People claiming to be things that they're not, claiming to, to our point earlier, and people avoiding aspects of themselves, wanting to escape their demons. It's a very understandable impulse in human beings to want to try and alleviate themselves of some of their darker aspects, but that in the end you can't hide from that, and that you have to confront it. And particularly with the character I play, I just found it fascinating that deep down he knows, he has a sense that something's not right, and yet he doesn't act on it, and how detrimental that can be, not just for the person themselves, but for the society that they're part of. And so particularly, this is a story that takes place next to a border, and I thought with the all this talk of building a wall, and how the people from one side of the border are terrible, and the people on the other side of the border are fantastic, and
right.
What kind of a silly thing that is. I thought it was a good thing to put out there at this time.
Right, right. Hey, you're from the South yourself, right?
Yeah, I'm originally from Kentucky. Yeah.
Kentucky. So, how does that inform what you do when you're working on a project like this that takes place, say, in Texas?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's been such a long time since I lived in Kentucky, and I love Kentucky, and I loved growing up there. It's a beautiful state, and it's a little confounding that this McConnell character continues to have so much authority, because he really, to me, doesn't represent Kentucky at all.
Yeah.
So there's a great book that Matt Jones wrote called Mitch Please. I highly recommend it to anyone who's interested in finding out more about Kentucky, because it's a beautifully written and executed book. And but in terms of how it informs my performance, I can't say that was necessary for me to be from the South in order to play this character, but there is a certain persona, I guess, it's kind of the Southern man persona, you know, that I saw firsthand with my stepfather, you know, just quiet and kind of contained, maybe not overly aware of how they function or what makes them tick. That I drew on, I guess, in the portrayal. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you're working with some pretty interesting actors, and Shay, you've worked with quite a bit. What was the most challenging part of making this film for you personally? Is it dealing with the character, dealing with the director, dealing with the story, with the other people?
Well, I guess it would just be the journey of the character, and delineating, you know, the process, the phases that he goes through, because it's an elongated form of how am I trying to say this? It's not really a plot, you know. The circumstances don't really change all that much from the beginning to the end of the movie. It's really about what is happening inside these people's heads and their hearts, and finding all the different steps along the way. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm curious, I mean, you do quite a few mainstream big budget films with studios and indies things, and you've been doing it for a while now. When you go to choose a project, obviously there's money involved, and it's a job and it's work, but there's also, at this point in your career, do you think about your legacy and how it fits in with what you've done before? Is that part of the decision-making process before you go ahead?
Yeah, you know, it's funny, I don't, in a way, my career doesn't even seem to be part of me in a strange way. It doesn't feel like an accumulation, really, of victory or whatnot. You know, it's just more like what stories are compelling, what do I imagine people would get something out of watching, or would be provocative, or help people to think about their own lives and the choices they're making and the way that they're choosing to live. So, yeah, I'm not trying to like get my star on the Walk of Fame or anything. I'm just telling stories that I feel like have some meaning. Yeah.
And when you take on a character like you do in this film, does it change you afterwards? Are you a slightly different person than when you started?
Well, it can make you think about or confront aspects of yourself. You know, am I guilty of doing what this person's doing? Do I live truthfully? But you know, the work is something that you kind of give it away. I mean, you do get paid, like you mentioned earlier, but in a more abstract sense, it's something that kind of moves through you, and when it's done, it's done, and you move on to the next thing. I don't know if I'm accumulating any great wisdom from all these things that I do, but I mean, I still am as capable of feeling lost and confused as anybody else. But
Sure.
But you like, I don't know, you like to think that you're at least paying attention to things in a way that might be beneficial to your own development.
Yeah, yeah. And obviously the film was made probably at least a year or so ago, and a lot of stuff has happened in the world since then. Do you think that affects the way the film communicates with an audience at this point now?
I would hope so. It really depends on who's watching it, and people watch things with the different lenses. Some people really are just looking for a diversion or something to entertain them, or a lot of people consume so much media, and a lot of it seems to be in the interest of just killing time.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
for people that are really, like I said, paying attention, I think there's something to be gotten out of it.
Yeah, yeah. So are you currently working on a new film? Is that why you're in Australia?
I'm working on a limited series for Hulu called 9 Perfect Strangers. It's, I believe, going to be 8 episodes, and we just started shooting. It's our second week, so I'm going to be here, I think, almost till Christmas. So.
Right. I mean, there's a big blur between feature-length films, television shows, limited series. Does it make any difference as an actor to you what that format is when you go into the project?
Only to the extent the demands on your time,
Right.
This was a big decision to be away from home for a long time during a pretty tumultuous time in our country's history. And I debated before I took the role. I thought, am I, running away from something that I should be sticking around for? But, I spent 4 months. I spent 4 months sitting in my house, twiddling my thumbs. So it feels good to be back at work.
It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I very much enjoyed The Quarry. So that was great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.